We are gathered here for a press conference that will be led by our principals, Honorable Kiizza and Dr Kiizza Besigye, together with their colleagues, the leaders of the different political entities in Uganda. And we are here as a united force against dictatorship, injustice, inequality and oppression, plus bad governance for the greater good of Uganda. United against both political and health COVID-19. We are taking a step forward to advance what we have always been, united against the misrule, maybe this time making it more formal and focused, and failing is not one of our options. Ladies and gentlemen, today me and my young brother, Honorable Senyonyi, I think you don't mind if I call you.
No problem at all.
He doesn't.
If I don't mind when she calls me honorable, of course I don't mind.
We shall lead just because we are part of you, the pressmen. And we are going to say less. I just want to request him to take us through the program, and then we shall call on the person who is supposed to take us on at the next level to come here and brief this meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Honorable Namboze. You know, for a very long time, Ugandans have been saying, so the forces of change, you are all desirous of change, you want to see a better country. Why is it difficult for you to work together? And today's press conference is an answer to that question, that it's actually very possible for us to unite against injustice, to unite against bad governance, to unite against oppression, to unite against the dictatorship. And we have begun, and we are sending that message to Ugandans out there, that if, as leaders, we can be able to do this and say, look, we all want a new Uganda, we all want a better country, do the same out there, wherever it is that you are. And that's why we are here. I'll just quickly introduce, especially the leaders that we have here. Others will keep going on along the way, so I'll introduce those at the front, and then we'll get started. I see we have with us the Honorable John Baptist Nambeshe, all the way from Eastern Uganda. You're welcome, sir. We have with us Ambassador Waswa Birigwa. He's the chairman of the FDC. You're welcome, sir. We have with us Dr. Lina Zedriga Waru. She's the deputy principal of the People Power Movement. You're welcome, madam. And then I'll cross over to the other side. We have party leaders. I see Power, Honorable Patrick Oboy Amuriat. He's the FDC president. You're welcome, sir. It's okay to clap for these good people. We have with us John Ken, the man, Honorable Lucha Musi.
Yes,
CP.
Yes.
There you are. I don't know whether he's very conservative, but yes, he's a good man. We have with us the Honorable Asman Basalirwa. He's the president of JEMA, and he is also the president of IPOD. Omulodi Wali.
At the vice president who are people's government.
We have with us the Right Honorable Elias Lukwago. He's the Lord Mayor, Kampala Lord Mayor. Sebo, thank you for coming. We assure you to tuja kujoga.
President.
He's also the vice president of the People's Government. We have with us, all the way from Kyadondo, the Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Sentamu. He's the principal of the People Power Movement. And last but certainly not least, we have our elder, retired Colonel Dr Kiizza Besigye, the president of the People's Government. You're welcome, sir. So we are going to have a document read to us, clearly adumbrating what it is that we are saying, what we want to communicate, what it is that we are uniting about, and the clarion call that we are going to make to Ugandans out there. It's going to be read by two people, and we'll invite the first reader to read the first half of that document. I think they'll come together, sure they are comfortable with that. The Honorable Asmani Basalirwa, together with the Lord Mayor. You're welcome.
Sure.
Dear our principals, distinguished party presidents, the honorable members of parliament. Joel, when you were introducing, you left out members of parliament. Oh, okay. I have recognized them. Ladies and gentlemen, with us today is a communique by the Joint Forces of Change on what Ugandans must do to respond to the regime's excesses in the face of the coronavirus pandemic. I have to mention from the onset that it's a fairly detailed statement that requires a lot of patience and internalization. Countrymen and women, as you are aware, on March 11, 2020, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak of the novel coronavirus a pandemic. The World Health Organization had declared COVID-19 a global health emergency on January 30th, 2020. The first COVID-19 case was reported in Uganda on March 21st, prompting the regime to respond by closing Uganda's borders as well as the airspace. Later on, a national lockdown was imposed on the whole country. These steps were necessary, although some of them came in rather late, leading to considerable damage. Similarly, it is important to note that the lockdown affected mostly ordinary Ugandans who fall outside the power structure. Those close to the regime continue to operate their businesses, drive their vehicles, and travel in and out of the country. Therefore, from the very start, the regime's response to COVID-19 was discriminatory. In addition to this, the actions of the regime were largely outside the law. Whereas the level of restrictions put in place were those ordinarily imposed under a state of emergency, the regime did not follow the stipulated constitutional procedure under Article 110 of the Constitution of Uganda to declare a state of emergency. The Parliament of Uganda, which should typically play a pivotal role under such an arrangement, was relegated to passing supplementary budgets for the misuse of the regime. In order to legitimize their actions, the regime decided to invoke the provisions of the Public Health Act, Cap 281. Even then, because of President Museveni's persistent desire to politicize the entire process and project himself as the owner of Uganda, he usurped the powers of the minister under Section 36 of the said law. Therefore, Minister Jane Ruth Aceng's role at signing the stopped at signing statutory instruments. President Museveni has run the entire response on presidential decrees and directives. No wonder everyone in this country, including police officers, have been implementing what Museveni says through his addresses. This further goes to show the absolute lack of respect for the Constitution, the attendant laws and institutions. Throughout the course of this period, the brutality of the regime on the citizenry has been at its peak. In enforcing the presidential directives, the police, the army, and other armed groups have used excessive violence against the citizens. Pictures and videos of LDUs beating up helpless citizens in Kampala, mothers being molested by security forces in Eregu, mothers being loaded onto prison trucks in Lira, 2 Ugandans being shot in broad daylight in Masaka, Ugandans being shot in different parts of the country, among others, are still fresh in our minds. The use of coercive arms of the state has been ubiquitous, and we condemn this in the strongest terms. In reviewing the handling of COVID-19 in Uganda, we are coming together as democratic forces in this country to not only highlight our review of the mismanagement by the regime, but to also make a clarion call on the people of Uganda to rise up and defend themselves against the continuing effects of bad governance. The review of the regime's handling of the pandemic. One of the tragedies of our country is that President Museveni is running the country as if it is his private home or property. How he has thus far responded to this pandemic is no different. He has deliberately chosen to micromanage the response from State House as opposed to allowing institutions to function. The civil society, tradition and religious leaders, as well as other stakeholders, were locked out of the process. In a functioning democracy, these stakeholders play a very prominent role in ensuring that the government is fully accountable, more so in times like this, where ordinary citizens have been locked up. In Uganda's case, the regime's response and actions were insulated from any form of accountability. In specific terms, we shall highlight a few issues that have been grossly mismanaged. Number one, hunger and starvation. Our people are hungry and starving. Even before the COVID outbreak, the state of food security has been deteriorating, more so in eastern Uganda and parts of northern and central Uganda. The lockdown has only worsened the situation. Although the regime procured a supplementary budget of 59 billion shillings to feed 1.4 million people in Wakiso and Kampala, only a few of them were reached with some little relief, which could only take them for a few days. In a very discriminatory manner, Ugandans in other parts of the country who were similarly under lockdown were not planned for, with the resultant effect that millions of Ugandans are starving. A parliamentary resolution to halt food distribution until government puts in place mechanisms to reach all Ugandans with relief was ignored. When the idea of a district task force was mooted, it was expected that more people outside Kampala and Wakiso would be reached. The reverse has happened. It was largely about posturing. The procurement of food and its distribution exercise, even in the few areas highlighted, has been riddled by corruption, with citizens getting rotten food in many cases. I am aware the Honorable Semuju did present rotten beans in Parliament, and it is on record. The effects of hunger will be long-lasting. According to UNICEF, more than 1/3 of all young children in Uganda, close to 2.4 million, are stunted. The damage caused by stunting is irreversible. This was the situation before the outbreak. Instead of prioritizing the future of these malnourished children, the Uganda regime has been passing supplementary budgets in insane amounts for State House, classified defense expenditure, among others. As it normally happens, this money is going to be used for patronage and to procure tools of violence. The Ugandan citizen is on her own. Number two, health. The nature of public health crisis we are faced with necessitates that our analysis begins with the health response. The pandemic is being confronted by an underfunded health sector. Regional referral hospitals, which are designated treatment centers, were audited in 2018 and found to be under-equipped and lacking senior medical staff. We share in the public outrage that has been stirred by the wasteful budgeting and expenditure that has generally characterized the COVID response. Nebi district, for instance, is emblematic of this state of affairs. One of the 165 million dispersed, 50% was spent on allowances, 20% on staff welfare, and the remainder on fuel and car tubes. Line institutions such as the Uganda Virus Research Institute have chronically been underfunded and understaffed. One of the 9 billion shillings allocated to the institute in the financial year 2019-2020, only 1 billion was dispersed. This means that the preparedness for the crisis, foreknowledge of which was available since December 2019, was already fated to get off on a weak start. And surprisingly, on May 12th, Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union warned of industrial action after national medical stores delivered drugs and other supplies without personal protective equipment. The union acted upon their warning and began industrial action on May 20th for lack of allowances and protective equipment. Reports of unpaid medical allowances and even salaries from March through May have circulated in the media. Notwithstanding a presidential directive to provide masks to all Ugandans above the age of 6, the Minister of Health has recently told Parliament that they need a supplementary budget to cover free masks. Given that the figures from April 14th indicate that interstate truck drivers are the primary conduit of the disease, the response to this threat was slow. The presidential directive of May 10th to quarantine the trucks at points of entry, pending test results, was only implemented on 20th and 21st, after 158 had been allowed entry. Recent results are now showing COVID-19 cases among their contacts as well as community cases. At the regional level, inability of the East African community leadership to agree upon and implement a common approach on testing, treating and quarantining further stifled containment. This lack of testing protocols and the subsequent discord between numbers has aroused public and official suspicion about falsification of results between the East African member states. These multiple mishaps raise questions about the rosy picture painted by the National Task Force in its 14th May country briefing on the status of the country's preparedness and what was being done to stem the spread of the virus. Education. Learners in their final years from primary to tertiary levels will be able to sit their exams following the relaxation of restrictions on finalists. But most parents are worried. They have been under lockdown and therefore not working. Most of them will not afford school fees, even other scholastic materials such as geometry sets. The government is not saying anything about assisting them in this regard. The failure to distribute complete sets of learning materials to all learners countrywide will adversely impact the learning outcomes expected at every stage of the curriculum. Reports that learning materials are being sold have also tainted the integrity of the process. Relatedly, the failure to deliver e-learning, as well as the inability to distribute materials for printing in districts, despite the expenditure on the national backbone infrastructure, is an indictment on the management of education at the technical and political levels. Information from the Auditor General shows that about 1 billion shillings was spent on 78 unused internet connections. Only 445 out of the 20,000 connections are in use. In this vital service, the taxpayer and our learners have been shortchanged. Transport. Millions of boda riders in Kampala and elsewhere in the country have had their livelihood disrupted and no relief package for the loss of income suffered has been extended. The same has been the fate of tens of thousands of taxi drivers across the country. The scale of desperation becomes apparent if one considers that 83% of Uganda's labor force is in vulnerable employment. A scattering of relief food has only been provided to very few people at a snail's pace. To add salt to injury, the government is mooting plans to restrict taxis and border borders from operating in the central business district in Kampala. Although the regime has denied that they plan to eject them out, the conditions they are imposing on taxis and border borders have the effect of keeping them out of business, and it is clear that it is the regime's intention. Moreover, the operators of these border borders and taxis were never consulted. The regime, which has always viewed them as a threat, is taking advantage of the lockdown to expunge them out of Kampala and therefore out of employment. Landlords, tenants, and the rent question. As forces of change, a presidential directive to the effect that landlords should not evict tenants and that a grace period for rent should apply did not go enough to provide a framework or timeline within which areas would be paid. However, it hasn't been backed by statutory instrument and can be legally ignored. There are already reports of evictions. Many landlords themselves owe banks and therefore risk foreclosure in the post-lockdown era. The absence of a tangible intervention in this regard spells a chaotic post-lockdown environment. Water, electricity, and other essential services. There has been no waiver or reduction of water or electricity bills, even though these are vital services in this crisis. Although the government indicated that bills wouldn't be paid while the lockdown subsists, our poor and vulnerable people who have been under lockdown will not be able to afford these charges even when the lockdown is eventually lifted. The employment situation and bank loans. Despite the government making a statement requiring employers not to dismiss employees, many Ugandans have lost jobs in this period. Employers have bypassed the directive by the Minister of Labour by resorting to constructive forms of dismissal, such as suspensions. Others have used pay cuts. The government has not come to their rescue. Similarly, the illegal presidential directive asking banks and lending institutions not to foreclose on loans has been ignored by many banks and other financial institutions to the chagrin of these poor people. Farmers. Poor smallholders in the agricultural industry were left to their own, despite reduced demand for their produce. This is so even when smallholder farmers and their dependents form 70 to 80% of the population. Small businesses and social protection. A vast majority of Ugandans are employed in the informal sector. Ugandans who largely survive on small businesses are effectively out of work. Their dependents out of work with their dependents. President Museveni instead said on more than one occasion that the relief measures are not meant to alleviate poverty, and poverty will be dealt with at a later time. In addition, demands by many Ugandans to have those with NSS savings get part of their money have been roundly rejected by the regime. There is no social security for Ugandans in such a difficult time. Security of person and property. The enforcement of COVID-19 related restrictions has been tainted by the surge in brutality by law enforcement agencies, with multiple reports of beatings, unlawful detention, and targeted offenses against women. Fatal shootings by the now infamous local defense unit operatives have occurred in a number of locations. Implicated personnel are yet to be brought to book. Many low-ranking security personnel have not been paid relevant allowances, even when Parliament passed a supplementary budget for the same. The due process rights of those who have been arrested countrywide continue to hang in balance as the criminal justice system seems to have gone into hibernation. Above all, the levels of mismanagement of public funds has never been so high and so callously done. Trillions of Uganda shillings have been passed in supplementary budgets with little or no debate in Parliament. Large amounts of money have been allocated to classified security expenditure without any justification. Our country is not at war to justify such expenditure. Part of the money passed in this period has gone to Mr. Museveni's patronage schemes. The country was united in shock as members of parliament allocated to themselves 10 billion shillings. When the nation protested, Mr. Museveni commanded the MPs to return the money, but went ahead to pay NRM MPs 40 million shillings each. As Ugandans at home were stuck and those abroad unable to return, the political class aligned to the regime were in feast mode. The regime has not only been on a spending spree, they have also been on a begging spree. Aside from the 600 million euros borrowed from the European Union on the 30th of January, the regime went on to borrow 491 million US dollars from the IMF on the 7th of May, ostensibly to deal with some balance of payment shortfalls. With the endemic levels of corruption by the regime, the citizens already know where this money will go. Sadly, it is the people of Uganda who must pay back this money. The regime is not eager to account for the colossal sums of money obtained through donations and grants to deal with the effects of the pandemic. These include 830 million euros from the Irish Embassy, 30 million euros from the European Union, and more than 15 million US dollars from the US mission, 316 US dollars from UN agencies, 2 million US dollars from the Danish Embassy, and $100 million from IGAD, among others. The COVID task force was also transformed into a begging entity instead of providing strategic direction to the country in this period. They have already raised over 27 billion shillings out of their target of 170 billion shillings. They were not ashamed to propose that struggling Ugandans surrender 10,000 shillings per month to the task force. To this regard, we will propose a way forward to be led by my colleague, the Lord Mayor.
A round of applause for that elaborate background given to us by Honorable Asumani Basalirwa. We continue to request for your patience because this is a historic moment as forces of change come together to show you the way forward on these matters of great national concern. The way forward. With this prevailing situation and circumstances, the citizens of Uganda are being called into action. The citizens are poor, hungry, and desperate. The regime is holding on to incredible amounts of money which must be put to use to improve the lives of our people during and in the post-COVID period. The way forward, in the citizens' perspective, is as follows. Number one, there is established an institution to guide the country into recovering from the damaged. There is established an institution to guide the country into recovering from the damage caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and the attendant mismanagement by the regime. The institution, by whatever name it may be called, must be representative in the sense that all stakeholders should be represented. These stakeholders may include concerned citizens, government agencies, religious institutions, traditional institutions, political formations across the divide, representatives of citizens working in the informal sector, the business community, etc. The first assignment of the body must be to do a comprehensive audit of the regime's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and ensure that there is accountability and probity for money so far spent. The body must be autonomous and non-partisan in the proper sense of the word. You must underline that. 2, all vulnerable and poor families in all villages of Uganda should get food relief. Over 8 million Ugandans live in abject poverty, and they have lived in abject poverty before, during, and after COVID. Today, the situation has worsened. As we have demonstrated above in the elaborate background given by my brother here, the regime has enough resources at its disposal to ensure that citizens in all districts who are poor and vulnerable receive food from government. The food relief should be sufficient in terms of quantities and quality. We estimate that every individual should get at least half a kilogram of posho and beans per day. That should be the ration, at least for the bare minimum. The children who risk being further malnourished should be given nutritious food. That includes the mothers who are feeding their children. 3, in the alternative to point 2 above, and in order to ensure transparency, vulnerable Ugandans should receive direct cash transfers from government, as is being done in other countries like Kenya. This money should be given to these struggling Ugandans directly as the mechanism may be worked out. This organ envisaged in this particular point above should involve designing the mode of delivery of these funds so as to reduce corruption and other bills. I beg to repeat this. The organ envisaged in point number 1, that non-partisan body, should be involved in designing the mode of delivery of these foodstuffs, rather of these funds, so that we reduce corruption and other ills. We propose that each vulnerable family receive a minimum of 100,000 Uganda shillings per week. Number 4, regarding education, the government must ensure that private school owners are subsidized so that they do not charge parents any monies for the upcoming term. So we insist there must be subsidies. Likewise, government-aided schools must not charge parents for school fees for the upcoming term. Universities should also be assisted so that students do not have to pay tuition to complete the semester, which was disrupted as a result of the lockdown. The justification is that parents have not been working and therefore cannot afford that exorbitant cost at this particular moment. Number 5, fees for essential services such as electricity and water should be waived for a period of 6 months. Government should extend the payment period for these services until the lockdown is lifted. These bills have now accumulated for most Ugandans and it will take a considerable period of time for many Ugandans to afford this cost. Therefore, water and the electricity bills for the period beginning March to September 2020 should be completely waived. Government should extend a subsidy to National Water and Sewage Corporation, UMEME, and other responsible organizations dealing with utilities to enable them deal with the deficits accruing to them as a result of this state of affairs. Number 6, border riders and taxi drivers should be assisted instead of being ejected out of the central business district and indeed the whole of Kampala. For avoidance of doubt, KCCA, don't look at me as KCCA. For avoidance of doubt, KCCA and other agencies should immediately draw plans of ejecting these countrymen and women out of Kampala. While we agree that Kampala should be organized, this must be done in a consultative manner. Government must not take advantage of the lockdown to further crush poor people. Besides, Ugandans who use these services must have accessible and affordable alternatives before such drastic measures are taken. Development must not come at the expense of livelihood and at the expense of the most vulnerable. When public transport opens up, there must be a deliberate policy to assist the owners of borders and taxis so as to ensure that they do not hike prices to the detriment of poor Ugandans. 7, Ugandans who have saved money with NSSF must be given between 20% to 30% of their money to assist them deal with the effects of the lockdown and the vagaries of the COVID pandemic. NSSF is a social security fund. It does not own this money, but holds it in a trust for the people who save their money and to deal with such situations such as this particular crisis. There must not be any excuse to deny them their hard-earned money. 8, tenants should be given a grace period of 8 months without paying rent, both for commercial and residential premises. Ugandans have not been working and therefore unable to afford paying rent at this material time. Landlords should get interest-free loans to be able to stay afloat. In addition, landlords who earn less than 10 million shillings should be given equivalent cash grants less than what they would have paid in taxes. For the other landlords, the lost income should be treated as a tax-deductible expense to their businesses. Property taxes, as well as ground rent, should also be waived for a period of 1 year, because it is annual anyway. The Bank of Uganda should cushion and negotiate with the commercial banks to see that all interests on loans are frozen for this particular period, and to see that no Ugandan loses their property on account of unpaid bank loans. Relatedly, Ugandans continue to lose jobs in this period. There must be a clear policy aimed at assisting small and medium enterprises with interest-free loans, tax holidays, etc., to enable them stay afloat so as not to be pushed into dismissing their employees because of those financial constraints they may encounter. 9, Ugandans who have undergone tragedies, such as those affected by floods in Kasese and Bundibujo, those displaced by rising water levels on banks of Lake Victoria in Kampala, Wakiso, etc., those affected by mudslides in Elgon region, as well as those who were affected by locusts in the northern part of the country must be assisted one way or the other. In the case of mudslides, rising water levels and floods, Ugandans who have been displaced must be resettled in decent accommodation in a very short time possible. 10, agriculture being the backbone of our country, measures should also be taken to resuscitate it. The farmers of Uganda must be assisted and must be given priority in the COVID and post-COVID agenda. Measures to improve productivity and ensure that their produce get market at competitive prices must be considered as a matter of priority. Now we move to the clarion call, largely to the citizens of Uganda. With this state of affairs, we, the forces who have assembled here, coming together as a pro-democracy, with this state of affairs, we, the forces that have assembled here, coming together as pro-democracy forces to call upon the people of Uganda to rise up and defend themselves against a regime which has used the COVID-19 situation to enrich itself at the expense of Ugandans and to entrench itself further. Given the significance of this line, allow me to repeat it. With this state of affairs, we, the forces that have assembled it here, coming together as a pro-democracy force, do call upon the people of Uganda to rise up and defend themselves against a regime which has used the COVID-19 situation to enrich itself at the expense of all Ugandans and to entrench itself further in power. It is the money they have borrowed or illegally passed in supplementary budgets that they are spending on buying political opponents and engaging in early rigging of elections. We are now therefore announcing that we shall lead Ugandans in a range of non-violent activities aimed at changing the status quo, but most importantly, ensuring that the above stipulated way forward is met. These activities will begin with a campaign dubbed, "Are You There?" Raise your voice. Let's hear you out. In Uganda, Jemuli, mwimuse amaloboozi tubawulire. Rise up and defend your rights. Assert yourself. Tunywere twesibe bbiri. Tulumbe. We shall request all Ugandans to hit anything that makes noise so that you are heard. Whether a saucepan, blowing a whistle, hooting with a boda or taxi or anything that can make a noise, even if it is your shoe, do it. For those who feel hungry and want food, we shall request you to bang your empty saucepans with a fork, knife, or a spoon in front of your house or other dwelling places. The citizens will raise their voices in unison and go on to carry out other violent activities until their rights are restored. Non-violent. Did I say violent? Was it a slip of a tongue or? I need to correct that. The script here reads non-violent. Quote me right. The citizens will raise their voices in unison and go on to carry out other non-violent activities until their rights are restored, are respected, and observed, and given the sanctity they deserve. This activity shall begin tomorrow Tuesday, the 16th of June. So we are saying with effect from tomorrow, you should swing into action and say, Muriwa, let me repeat it here. Jemuri, Muimusama Robos Tubaurire, we want to hear you out. Say enough is enough. We must confront and take on the bull by its horns. For God and my country. The United Forces, together we shall overcome, we the United Forces of Change. May God bless you, and I thank you. Thank you.
We wish to thank the President of JEMA and the Vice President of the People's Government, also the Lord Mayor of the capital city, for giving us a brief state of the nation. I heard people whispering behind here when we started talking about COVID, and they thought, hey, why start with COVID that started yesterday? But first of all great things start somewhere. I know that Ugandans have been moving under the dictatorship for long. But if anybody had any doubts about Mr. Museveni's intentions, COVID has assisted everybody to know that we don't have a government in Uganda. So don't fault us if you see us starting with COVID, because that is where we are. We can't continue burying our heads in the sand. We are going to start here. We are all quarantined in our homes, and we are going to show this government that it has no power whatsoever to lock up Ugandans to die of hunger in their homes. I will request my able... I get tempted to call him my deputy, but he's not. he's the spokesperson, and we stand here as equals. So...
All right, thank you, Honorable Namboze. You know, we personally do salute, you know, there's people that have been in politics for a while. We have learned a lot from them. The Nambozes of this world and several others in this room. We are glad that they showed us the way, and we have come on edge, and we are now on the front line with them. And as the Baganda say, negozadde
okay.
akubire ngoma, that even that whom you've given birth to can drum and dance. So anyway, the stage has been set, and as you can see this banner, we are saying no, nedda. Who is saying that? United Forces of Change, Ugandans. We are saying no to injustice, we are saying no to inequality, we are saying no to oppression, we are saying no to bad governance. And we are saying we should do that as Ugandans, regardless of where we fall politically or otherwise, because we all want a better country, we're all interested in a better country. Just before we invite one or two leaders, a few leaders to speak to us, and then the principals, I just take note, as we had said, we will take note of the MPs. The chairman, iPod, reminded me, you know, he's their boss. So I'll just take note of these good people. We have with us the Honorable Anna Adeke. Adeke is the National Female Youth MP. Kindly stand and say hello to this wave. We also have with us the Honorable Muwanga Chivumbi, all the way from Butambala County. We have with us Honorable Latif Sebagala Sengendo from Kawempe North. Honorable Ibrahim Semujunganda. He's from Kira Municipality. He's a spokesperson like myself. It's good to see you here, sir. Honorable Nzohu William from Busongora North. All the way from Kasese. We do commiserate with you, Honorable, the happenings there, and please let's do whatever we can to stand with the people of Kasese. We have with us Honorable Roland Kajinda, all the way from Rukunjiri Municipality. Honorable Francis Zake Butebi.
All the way
From Mityana Municipality. He's all the way from Torture Chambers. Yes, we laugh, but it is very sad. But we are glad that you've gained some strength and you could be able to join us here. We also have with us Honorable Florence Namayanja, Bukoto County East. I saw the Honorable Mpuga walking in. Did I see right? Oh yes, Matthias Mpuga from Masaka. I saw Mayor Serunjoji Owedembe from Kawempe. Thank you for joining us. Oh, we have with us Honorable Michael Kabaziguruka. Honorable Kabaziguruka is actually very special to me because he is my current MP. So you're very welcome, sir. I should have begun with my current MP, really. I wish I could reverse the times. All right, suddenly, but we were meant to be joined by the Honorable Betty Awolo-Chan, the leader of opposition in Parliament. She, on her way here, she was coming all the way from Gulu. She got involved in an accident. I understand she's not in a worrying state. She's not in a worrying state at all, according to the information I've been given. But she's unable to join us. So our prayers and thoughts are with her. All right, we are going to hear from a few leaders at the front as we had announced them. They will say one or two things in a minute each, and then we shall wrap it up with our principles. Let me first invite Dr. Lina Zedriga, the Deputy Principal of the People Power Movement, to speak to us in 1 minute.
Yes. Our principals here present and the members of Parliament, allow me speak in a very organic language, and that is Lugwara, because this is for us Ugandans. Our the first Rumo DP Uganda di amandroa tualo bakwara do pie eteke amadri manvibe woro ba amoduku dupi di pie afade anilo bate do ini adule seko ma imi ba ruadi ma imi ba wesinali adi andro endredi mimilesi ame mukitu alo ame tikitibo ame tikititu alo kini amalo alo mo poti ame daki amoduku le amayoki yo urikoko wa. Yes.
In summary, is saying that the people of Western Nile, like all of you, bako ye jogo.
Amadi, thank you. Amadi totono kurudi. Amadi totono kurudi. Leandro amamuku tualu, ametikiti tualu, ayoki yo, amoduku ti, amopoti pasozo amasi. Governmenti, yondra yamani nyakayo. Teani urima ayo, asokipa tualu, edozo drusi udu irisi. Sufuria niya. Kani olangi niya. Kani kopo niya. Ibi midria, igbangili, ngili, ndo. Amerikitera. Awadifo angiri, amedo dido abo, drusi asokipa tualo. Awadifo angiri.
I thought Robert Deki was going to translate for us, but that's okay. I guess he was giving company to Mama. Yes, we agree with everything you have said. It is correct, and we have nothing useful to add.
Definitely.
Please, John.
I want to clarify one issue. We are constrained because of the COVID. So many other people would have been here. The few of us who are here are representing the so many who would have liked to be here, but we couldn't afford to bring everybody down here because we are required to give space to each other. I now have the honor to invite Honorable Kenny Luchamuzi, the man. You see, we don't want any person to stand here alone. Let somebody come from the other side and stand here and give him company. Anybody who is willing.
Thank you very much. I have already been introduced as president of the Conservative Party. I'm excited by the statement which has been given. But before I say anything, allow me to congratulate the two principal leaders here present for finding it appropriate to meet and say something collectively about the fate of our country, Uganda. President Museveni does not have any authority to dominate us. You have heard recently in South Africa, the president of South Africa issued a presidential directive. The presidential directive is supported by the Presidential Directive Act. In Uganda, someone who stands up, he declares curfew on a regular routine, stops public transport, private transport, closes all the schools, universities, and religious institutions. That, in a nutshell, amounts to a state of emergency. President Museveni does not want to talk about the state of emergency because the framers of the 1995 Constitution envisaged a situation like that and put in place provisions like Article 110, Article 46, Article 47, Article 48 to make sure that much as there is a state of emergency, the fundamental rights of man and woman must be respected in continuity. We are in a difficult situation, and we call upon all the people of Uganda to rally together so that we fight a dictator of an omnipotent nature. You know very well that with reference to the Second World War, if the world had not taken action against Hitler, Hitler was going to finish off the entire world community. So we should not let Museveni dominate us as we look on. The time is now to act because under Article 1, under Article 2, under Article 3, we have the powers to own power and even command that power as the people of Uganda. This situation should not isolate anybody. I would like to thank those in government who have chosen to keep quiet so as not to baptize and embrace the dictator. The time is now for all the people of Uganda, including Parliament. Parliament is now silent. We are not blaming you in Parliament on the opposition side because we know you don't have space to talk anything. If I was in Parliament following the bad passing of the age limit amendment of the Constitution, where the president commanded a force of a military nature to disturb and disrupt everything, I would have moved a vote of no confidence in the Museveni government. The time is now to review that exercise. It is not late. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the man.
All right. I'll also mention that we were meant to join by Councillor Peter Walubiri from UPC. He got one or two challenges and he's not been able to come through, but he did send his apologies. Let's now invite POA, Honorable Patrick Oboy Amuriat, the FDC President, to speak to us in 2 minutes.
People's President, my brother, the leader of the People Power Pressure Group, political leaders, members of Parliament, all of you pro-change activists, my dear friends, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you warm greetings from the Forum for Democratic Change that I lead in this country and in the diaspora. Before I make my substantive remarks, I would like to congratulate everybody who has painstakingly put what we are celebrating today or ushering in today, make it a reality and something that we will offer to Ugandans as a vehicle for liberation. Congratulations. I know that there have been ups and downs in trying to put this together, but unity of this nature requires patience, it requires sacrifice. And so I want to thank the People's President and the leader of the People Power Movement for coming together, responding to a call by Ugandans who would like to see a united opposition in this liberation struggle to bring an end to the dictatorship that has been brought to us by Yoweri Museveni. We in the FDC have always believed in the nature of struggle that is going to continue today, because for the 15 years of our existence, we have been in this struggle. I know that at the beginning, we were misunderstood. Along the way, many people joined the struggle. And now, this is a new beginning for us all. And I believe that what we celebrate today brings hope to the people of Uganda. This is historic. And I think we have got to applaud all those who have made this happen. I would like to say at this point that COVID brings a golden opportunity to us all. Because through this COVID, the claws of the dictator have been exposed more than before. The theft that has happened, mismanagement that has happened, lack of respect of human rights that has happened. And now, using the money that has been stolen, the dictator wants to continue subduing the people of Uganda and marginalizing us politically. This will not be accepted. The election, the so-called scientific election, is one way in which the election of 2021 is being rigged. I want to say to those who have vested all their hopes in the election of 2021 that time is now for you to struggle, because it's not going to bear a good result. If you hope that Mr. Museveni, using a scientific election, where you are not going to go to a podium to speak and you are restricted just to a television that you may not get to appear on, a radio station that you may never get to appear on, or even social media that is limited to just a few elites. You know, in my village, I probably am the only one who knows how to use WhatsApp. And so I want to tell you that the election of 2021 is already rigged. It is not an election. And as we have always said before, we go into election not to expect any result different from Mr. Museveni being announced. We go into election as fighters. We go into election as combatants. We go into election defiantly. And I want to make a call to all of those interested in contesting in the election of 2021, that time is now for us to bring down the dictatorship so that we may enjoy our country, so that we may be able to have a credible, free, and fair election. My call to all of us who unite today, a unity of purpose, is that we have got to be patient as we shoulder on. My call to you is that our struggle should be devoid of greed. There's really nothing to fight over now, my dear friends. After we have got there, that will be the time for us to share the animal. For now, it is foolhardy to begin to book the thigh of that animal, to begin to book the neck of that animal, or even the hide or liver, because, my dear friends, the animal is not yet down. It is still running. And so, I expect this unity to be full of sacrifice. By the way, taking on the dictator does not accommodate cowards. If you are somebody who fears and think you are just going to talk from the safety of your bedroom, you are just going to talk on WhatsApp and threaten on WhatsApp, you are in the wrong place, my friend. This place is for courageous people who are going to open their chests to the dictator and say, here we are, we have come for you. Here we are, we will face your guns. Here we are, we will face your cannons. That is the struggle that we in the FDC have engaged in. There has to be mutual respect. When I see forces of change fighting on social media to bring one another down, I shudder. I feel very shy and disappointed. That is what we call negative energy. We need to deploy our energies where it matters. And our guns, from today going forward, should be directed towards the dictator. Thank you very much for your kind attention. God bless you all.
Thank you. Power, Honorable Patrick Oboy Amuriat, the FDC President. I like that he has said that we go into an election to fight. And we should get ready to fight, Ugandans. And that's why we kept telling them, get your national ID, check your votability, make sure you're in the voters register, get ready to fight. Yeah. So that gets to happen. I'll just make this quick announcement. There's a car registration number, UAR 155T. UAR 155T. I'm told your tires have been removed. Please run to your car quickly. No, your car is safe. You are blocking. You're blocking somebody who needs to get out urgently. So please kindly make the adjustment. UAR 155T. All right. We are running very close to the very end. We are going to invite Papa, Ambassador Chairman Wasabirigwa, to come and speak to us in 2 minutes as well. You're welcome, sir.
People's President, People Power President, Lord Mayor, the man, my President, Amriat, and all the members of Parliament and other honorable members, ladies and gentlemen. You'll forgive me, I'm a little bit weak, partially because I lost a brother, Kasirye Gwanga. So I've been mourning, and I'm still mourning, but nevertheless it's gone. Munzikirize njogere mu Luganda. Olunaku lwa leero, lunaku lukulu nnyo. Ffe abavudde emabega nga tulwana, ndowooza n'envi muziraba. okutuuka ku lunaku lwaleero nina essanyu nnyo 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 nnyini. Kino okubeerawo tumaze kumpi mwaka mulamba nga twogera. Meeting zibaddewo, people's government, people power, nga tugezaako okulaba nti tuleeta ekintu ekirungi eri bannayuganda. Abasinga babadde balowooza nti tetukwatagana, naye nga tuli manju eyo tufumba. Kansuubire nti binaavaamu bye tufumbye bijja kuba birungi. Bannayuganda tufa, tuggwaawo. Oyinza okuba nga tomanya afudde naye abantu bafa enjala, battibwa, basibibwa, tebannakutuukako ggwe naye tekitegeeza bajja kukola ki kutuukako. Twerwaneko. Kuno kwerwanako ffenna kyekiseera ffenna okuvaayo ne tugamba nti kino kikome, kiyitiridde kikome. Tubasaba mwenna programu zonna zinabatuleese muveeyo n'amaanyi, kubanga bano baagala okulaba nti tulina abantu abatukirizaamu abasobola okujja ne balwanyisa. Bano banalaba nga tuvuddeyo ffenna bajja kudduka Museveni mutiitiizi. Yeyo kimanyi nze nkukuwulidde oli mutiitiizi, nange nyinza okuba omutiitiizi, naye ffenna bwe twegatta n'otegeera nti tukooye. Mbasaba mwenna bampuliriza, abooluganda, mwenna ebibiina byonna bibadde ebweru, mujje mwegatte, mujje tukole. Nga tuziika Kasirye eggwanga nagamba ne baali ba general, nimbaga nti mwe mufuga temutulimbalimba, mutulagaanya ono yekka gavumenti. Tewali gavumenti, mwe mukutte ekintu. Naye mbaga nti muveeyo namwe mutwegatteko tuleete change. Olw'okuba bampadde obudakiika 2 bokka, naye mbasaba bannange mwenna abatuwuliriza, abatulaba, ffe ekintu tukifumbye, tukireese, kansubire munaakirya.
Mwami Museveni yagambye nti kati awulira Uganda etandise omuwoomera. Kyatamanyi nti ali kasukaali ka Kyagulanyi. Kyagenda otegeera nti sukaali atta. Awo wennyini Uganda weewoomera, wagenda ogirekera. Sukaali atta, mumubuulire.
Ate naye tulaba agenda awewuka. So wetukutte bannaye tunyweze. Sukaali tutabulire ddala kanoke. I just want to emphasize one very important point. You know, as we made very clear indication, United Forces of Change. We're talking about Ugandans who are interested in change. And I'll mention a name that I mentioned again earlier. You know, yes, we have people from different parties. UPC was meant to join us. Councillor Walubiri got a challenge along the way. But I wanted this man to stand again. Honorable John Baptist Nabeshe from Manjia County. Kindly stand again. I'll tell you why I'm asking you to stand, sir. This gentleman is a member of parliament on the NRM card and is a card-holding member of the NRM. But he says, I want change. I belong to the ruling party. However, I am interested in a better Uganda. I'm interested in Uganda beyond Mr. Museveni. And so we salute you, sir. He's one of our coordinators in People Power, and there's many others like him. We salute you. Please, when you go back to the NRM caucus, keep telling them those things you've been telling them, that Ugandans are ripe for change. Thank you, sir. Let's appreciate that gentleman with a hand clap. All right, so we are now beginning to wrap it up. And I'm going to invite a gentleman.
Before you invite. Yeah.
Okay.
We have agreed that the person we are going to invite would hear the call clearly if it is made by me. As a clarification, we want you to know that we are here as a united voice for united action for a shared destiny. And because we are doing great things, many voices of our detractors will raise their voices to say that we are failing. I want to tell Ugandans that don't be discouraged. Because we are stronger now that we are together, our detractors will make a claim that we are weaker. Just ignore them. Because we shall win, our detractors will say we will not win. Just know that those are voices of arrogant failures. Smile at them. And with that assurance, I wish to take on this responsibility, and it is my honor and privilege to invite the principal of the People Power Movement, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Sentamu, to come and address this meeting, and Ugandans at large.
Thank you very much, our dear MCs and spokespersons. See, I'm still a music person. And whenever so much speech is given without music, that spirit of music comes back to me. And because the idea today is the United Forces of Change, I would like to musicize it, if that word exists, for a bit, and say, United Forces of Change, the only way we will get a liberation. Again, United Forces of Change, all of us must come together as one. One more, United Forces of Change, the only way we are going to get a liberation. Again, United Forces of Change, opposition must come together as one. Our people complaining night and day. They wonder why they continue to live this way. All we know that things can change someday. If we really want them to change anyway. Uganda, land of abundance, but Ugandans living in deficiency. Museveni wants life presidency. We must abandon that silly tendency. Uganda rich, but Ugandans poor, because the leader is drunk on power. He runs nation like family affair. The citizens suffer, but he don't care. Let's sing United Forces of Change. I like that. Let me also say, let me also say this in respect to all the formations. And I'll say, whether you are JEMA, whether you are DP, whether you are NRM or you are FDC, whether you are CP, whether you PC, whether you are ANT, banegwanga bali malawo, abanyazinga tabantu bali mukufa na njala, bwe twegatane tugoba bana bajega, tusobola okutaasa eggwanga ensega. Thank you very much. Dr. Kiizza Besigye and the People's Government and all the composing formations in the People's Government, the leadership of the People Power Movement and all the composing formations of the People Power Movement. Fellow leaders, ladies and gentlemen, I am privileged to once again be alive when we take this monumental step. We come together as the United Forces of Change. But before anything, I want to salute our elders who saw the way, went that way, and showed us the way. In particular, I want to salute you, Dr. Kiizza Besigye. I want to salute John Ken Duchamuzi, the man. I want to salute the Lord Mayor. I want to salute Dr. Zedriga. I'll salute you, Mzee Birigwa, my neighbor, and all of you elders. for the inspiration that you've given to us and many other Ugandans over the years. Like my brother Joel said, you inspired us to the level that we are on the front line together. So from me and from the People Power leadership, so you know, we respect you, we love you, and we hold you in very high regard. I want to thank the forces of change for seeing it necessary to unite. Friends, we must unite because that is the only option. We must work together for the betterment of our country. For the masses that have been calling upon our unification, yes, we've been working together, we've been talking like Museveni said, and this that we're doing today is yet another step into the right direction. To our supporters out there, we see the contradictions, we see the attacks and counter-attacks, and we want this to be a practical message to you out there, to know that we are not each other's enemies. We know our enemy, we know the enemy of Uganda, and that is Museveni and his regime of national shame. So the more we fight against each other, we are delaying the change that Ugandans so desperately want. We hope that this gesture will communicate to all of you friends who want change so badly, to know that this country is bigger than your principles. This country is bigger than you as a person. This country belongs to all of us. And yes, it can only change if we put all our noble efforts together. I want to briefly communicate to you, friends, that we as leaders can only see the way and show you the way. But it's very, very important that we work together. Today we are announcing these proposals. We are announcing these activities. But again, it's going to take you, friends out there, you, the leaders that are leading besides us, ahead of us and behind us, to work together and make this happen. Because if we fail, then we shall be sentencing our people to a further, extended period of oppression. So I want to call upon all Ugandans not to sleep, not to sit. Speak out and speak loudly. This campaign is called No Nedda. Say no, and don't say no silently. In fact, don't say no only verbally. Say no in word and in action. This campaign is peaceful because we believe in peaceful means. It's non-violent. And yes, it is so simple that everybody and anybody can be part of it. Like our comrades have been saying it. Get your saucepan if you're hungry, or if you have a neighbor who is hungry, or if you feel oppressed. Make some constructive noise. This is going to be necessary noise, ladies and gentlemen. Like we are saying, we are suggesting, but we know that a lot of creativity is going to come from the masses out there. Be creative. Own this. This is yours. This is about you, friends. Make that noise with everything that you can use, whether it is a whistle, whether it is a metal gong, whether it is a bell, whether it is your saucepan or cup, whether it is your car in a taxi or boda hood. Make every and any possible necessary noise, ladies and gentlemen. We as leaders are leading the way, but we want to know that you're there. Every time I move, people meet me and they tell me they are with us. I'm sure they tell the same to my fellow leaders. But we want you to tell each other and tell the nation and tell those oppressors that you are there. Speak and you will be heard. Mwogere mulirwe. Make your voice. When I was still singing, we would say, Je mulieyo, and people would say, Je tuli. So show us that you are there, ladies and gentlemen. This is coming together, and we are saying it can only succeed if we all work hand in hand, ladies and gentlemen. Like Malcolm X said, that strategies might differ, moves and tactics might differ, but the objective is the same. Our sole objective is the liberation of our country. Our sole objective is peace, is real freedom, is real liberty, and that we must get by any means necessary. For now, the means we choose are the peaceful means, are the non-violent means. Let's maximize them, because we know if we do what we must do, we shall win, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you for God and my country. Mpozi bansabye bino mbyogere mu Luganda. Basebo ne banyabo tuli basanyufu nnyo olunaku lwa leero. Ku lwange nja kusanyuka nnyo olw'okufuna omukisa guno nga tukyali balamu. Neno step ne tugitekinga. Step ey'okukwatagana ffenna abaagala enkyukakyuka mu ggwanga lyattu Uganda. Tulabe ng'ate tukolawo ekyenjawulo. So nja kussa ekitiibwa mu bakadde baffe abatusookawo, Dr Kiizza Besigye, Mzee Birigwa, Lord Mayor Lukwago, Muganda waffe Asumani, John Kendu Chamzi the man, Dr Zedriga n'abalala bangi nnyo. Mwatulaga ekkubo, mwatugula amaaso. Era olw'ebikolwa byammwe ebyo ebirungi bye mwakola, naffe tuyimiridde olwaleero ku frontline okussa amaanyi gaffe ku gammwe, tulabe nga tununula eggwanga lyaffe Uganda. Baganda baffe bangi babadde beebuuza lwaki tetukwatagana. Weewaawo ng'abakulembeze tubadde twogerezeganya, era nga tumanyi nti tewali ngeri gye tusobola kutaasa ggwanga lyattu lino okuleka nga tukwataganye. Kya mukisa nti olwaleero tututte ekigere ekirala maaso okubalaga kye tulina okukola. Era tubasaba baganda baffe mwenna, naddala abo abayanira enkyukakyuka, ababadde balumbagana ku mikutu naddala egya social media, tusaba kana kabonero kabalage nti bannange buli omu ku mmwe si mulabe wa munne. Mulabe waffe tumumanyi, yenna kyemalira Yoweri Museveni ne gavumenti ye eyafuuka eyamusibira mu bbwa. Era twagala obbakakasa nti mwenna emmundu zammwe mwina zitunuuliza mulabe, so si zitunuuliza buli omu munne. Era tusaba okutandika n'olwaleero tukana akabonero nammwe mukalage nti mukkiriziganya nako, era nammwe kyemuyayanira basebo ne banyabu. Yeah. Mpozi olw'abaana batusazeeko njakuwa omukisa mukadde wange Dr Besigye ajje naye abeeko kyayogera eri eggwanga somerere kugenda maaso.
My brothers, the party leaders who are here, the Honorable Patrick Oboya Muriat, the Honorable Ken John Luchamzi, the Honorable Asmani Rasariwa, all the members of Parliament who are here, and all our dear brothers in the struggle. Jemuri! 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 Wow. I will only make 3 quick remarks. The first remark I'd like to make. COVID-19, you are violating the rules of congestion. The first remark I'd like to make. Get out of here, or else I will use all the maximum force to disperse you. So I order you to get out and go to your respective places. The first remark I'd like to make is to thank God. I am ordering everyone here to use the COVID-19 all the time. Or else I will arrest each and everyone. I'd like to thank God.
that God, justice, the God that will help us live in a free country. And as my brothers have said, it has been a long journey that we have walked up today. That's why we must thank God for the patience we have and the tribulations that we have gone through to get to this momentous day. Secondly, I would like to thank my brother here and all the people of the People Power Movement for the patience and the commitment to the liberation of this country that has made it possible for both our parts to come together and to join in this hall today. This is a wonderful, wonderful moment for our country, that we can unite to say that from here, let the whole country unite to say enough is enough. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our country is deeply divided. We have 90% or more of our people totally marginalized, totally isolated, totally neglected by the less than 1% of the people of Uganda. The 1% that uses guns to maintain power in this country and to subjugate the people of this country. This less than 1% uses people who are about 9% of the elite, who are used by this handful of people to maintain the oppression of the people of Uganda. What we are doing today is giving direction to the 90% of marginalized people that we must regain influence in our country. Power must come back to the people of Uganda, and so would the resources that they are stealing come back to be used for the benefit of our people. Indeed, during COVID, it has been shown, demonstrated, how the people of Uganda have been brought to the brink of destruction. COVID came when the country was it must be applied to the needs and the benefit of our people. But we know that it will not happen unless the people stand up and assert their right. So what we are doing today, what you heard this morning, was the clarion call to say the time has come. Let's all lock hands and say we matter in this country. Let's raise our voices and say this is our country. That's why the first call is for you to raise your voice so that people can know that there are people in this country who are marginalized, that there are people in this country whose money is being stolen every day. Raise your voice. And that's why we have said that from tomorrow at lunchtime, it will be at lunchtime, anybody who is hungry, from tomorrow at lunchtime, raise your voice. Raise your voice tomorrow from lunch. Eat your empty saucepan. From tomorrow lunchtime, you blow your whistle. From tomorrow lunchtime, make the noise that you can make to show the country that this country belongs to us and that we are here to serve. I thank you, all of you who have come, because indeed what they are doing outside there to intimidate us is what we are going to be facing from today going forwards. We are ready for them. Let them prepare. The people of Uganda, we shall meet. Thank you very much and God bless you. Basebo ne banyebo nsooka okwebaza ennyo muganda wange ow'ekitiibwa Honorable Robert Sentamu Kyagulanyi bwe tuvudde bala naye nga tugezaako okugatta amaanyi gaffe okulaba nti eggwanga lino linunulibwako. Tekibadde kyangu, lugendo lubadde luwanvuko, y'ensonga lwaki nasoose okwebaza Omukama era nengamba nti Omukama mulungi era n'ekiseera kyonna era y'embeera ye erina okumwebaza. Lutalo lwe tululwana ne Katonda waffe, era mu ngeri eyo neneebaza ne bannaffe bonna abalala be tutambudde nabo olugendo luno lw'okwegatta okununula ensi yaffe. Era olugendo olwo kye tukoze olwaleero kitaddewo kyensuubira nti ssuula mpya gye tusabiramu bannayuganda bonna okwegatta okulaba nti eggwanga lidda mu mikono gy'abantu. Eggwanga lino lyeyawuddemu mu ngeri ereeta obulabe mu ggwanga. Abantu abasingira ddala obungi abasinga ne mu 9 ku buli 100 tebalina kye bafuna mu ggwanga lyabwe, tebalirinamu ddoboozi. Abatono ennyo abatawera na kitundu kimu ku buli 100 be beemalira ku bintu byaffe nga beeyambisa maanyi ga mmundu okutiisatiisa buli omu balyoke bawambe ebiri mu ggwanga lyaffe. Abalala abali wakati waabo abatono ennyo n'abangi ennyo be beeyita abakulembeze ab'ebintu ab'enjawulo mu ggwanga lino, abasinga obungi bakozesebwa bali abatono okunyigiriza abasinga obungi mu ggwanga lino. Kye tukola olwaleero twegattira mu bantu abo 9 ku buli 100 tugambe nti ekimala kimala, era nti okuva olwaleero twagala essente n'obugagga bw'eggwanga lino bukolere bannayuganda bonna abanyigirizibwa, abalina enjala, abatakyalina mirimu, abatakyalina byakukozesa, obugagga bwaffe bubakolere era bubatuuseeko embeera empya. Naye ekyo tekijja kubaawo ng'abantu batudde. Y'ensonga lwaki olwaleero